Good evening. I'd like to call the regular Board of Finance meeting for Monday, July 21st, 2025 to order. First item on the agenda, public forum. Anybody wishing to address the board in public forum? Seeing none, we'll go to item number 2, approved minutes. We have the June 16th, 2025 meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any corrections or
I have
edits?
one.
Please.
I was present.
That's a big one, yeah. Okay. I don't think I had any. Anybody else?
I didn't have any.
I abstained. I was absent.
Okay. Well, you can say that when we vote. How's that? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Opposed, abstentions? Mr. Hartman.
I abstain.
Okay, correspondence. We will start with Standing Building Committee minutes. Anything on Standing Building? I will note that the last 2 months, we were talking about a meeting. I think this is the time to bring it up, a meeting regarding the 595 New England Road conversion of the old science wing to Board of Ed offices. That meeting did take place prior to our regular meeting tonight, so I just wanted to note that that did happen. It was not a publicized meeting or published meeting, so there was not a quorum present, but questions were directed as necessary to the appropriate people that were on the call. Chairman DeMeo was on from the Standing Building Committee, Cliff Gurnham, Director of Facilities, I believe a representative from the architect, from the contractor, and there were a few of us from the Board of Finance that were present, but only 3, so we didn't make a quorum. Oh, and I'm sorry, the chair of the Board of Education was there, and also the superintendent. So I think that covers everybody who was there. It was a good discussion, basically, to just confirm, clarify any issues regarding the costs of the project, which there were I'll just summarize, there were numerous reasons why the costs escalated, and we did get some detail on that was shared by the Director of Facilities, and everybody on the Board of Finance received those. So just wanted to make sure that I reported back on that. Anything else on Standing Building? Again, I did not have anything further. The chairman had a conflict this evening and is on the road, so he was not able to join us tonight. So if there are any questions, I would go ahead and entertain them and send them to him, but I don't hear any, so I think we'll move on from Standing Building. Pension Committee. Anything on Pension Committee minutes or monthly report?
It was a good month.
Yeah, better than the past. Anything on OPEB?
Just before we leave
Please.
pension, I just note that one of the retirees is the person who I used to look forward to hearing from on winter
We all
moorings.
Yeah, that's, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So hopefully you get someone who's got as pleasant a voice at 5 o'clock in the morning as Ms. Hahn did.
I think we do. Yes, there were a couple of people here, but yes, Lori Hahn is, Lori's been with 21 years, right, Lori? It was 21 years. She's been with the district and been kind of the communications face, so.
Communications voice.
Communications voice. We'll talk about, I think we could talk about replacement later.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will. Anyway, so yeah, congratulations. Anything further on pension or on OPEB? Okay. Not seeing any. There was an auditor engagement letter. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I know that's got to be signed by the chair, the Board of Finance. It's a lengthy document, but it's basically going on record of
Standard letter.
their engagement.
Standard letter that we've seen from.
Correct.
priorities.
And just a reminder, this is our new selected auditor. Oh my God, I scrolled way too far.
Have they started yet?
There we go, CBiz.
Once you sign that letter, we officially start.
Yeah, okay.
We do have a portal that Linda and I have been given access to, that obviously they need a lot of information from us because they're new. I've had 2 meetings with them on new GASB pronouncements that we have to worry about, but officially it doesn't start until you sign
So they've
that
already
letter.
pre-started, but not officially?
Yeah, not
Okay.
officially. They-
Well, but that's good that you got a
One
couple.
thing a little bit different is they will not be in July, like they typically come. CLA used to come in for preliminary work
Yeah.
in July, which is always problematic for us because we're doing tax collection and stuff, but they are working, but they are not physically in our office. They will be looking for all the documentation that we give up and put on the portal, and I think they're coming in the last week of September? Yeah, last week of September they'll be in to do their field work.
Okay.
So, looking forward to it.
One of the things that had come up during our interview process was that they were going to be reaching out to and has that taken place, or does that start
It
also
can't
after we
until-
sign
Right,
it? Okay.
and thank you, Jeff, for mentioning that. He did specifically say that, that he couldn't reach out to CLA until they had the engagement letter, so he will be doing that this week.
Great.
I told him that I would have the signed one tomorrow, on the assumption that you would pass it along and have it signed. So all of that, this letter triggers all of that.
Okay, great.
I will
He
get-
reiterated again that they have a good working relationship and they should be able to get that information.
This doesn't require a vote because we've already technically voted, but if anybody has any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will sign the engagement letter
Right.
on
It's
behalf of the board.
informational more than anything
Informational,
else.
yep.
I was just curious, the engagement letter doesn't have anything in there about some of the contractual terms, but do we, in a more formal contract, did we say we're going to cap any kind of mid-contract increase, or they're not going to be allowed?
That is not specifically in the contract, but I believe that they got that very clear during our deliberations with them and our interviews.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
May have touched on that.
I mean, I'm looking at it, and I did look for that to see what they had. Page 9 talks about the engagement fees. And it indicates the fee. And then it indicates also that there are reasons, what their fees are based on, and if there's any changes, what they could be based on. So
Correct. For
they have
things that we've
they have the
had-
right to come to
right.
us. I think they,
Right, such as.
it's not a law, it's not a law contract.
Right.
The amount.
There
but-
are things outside of scope, like I came to you and Matt last year for something with CLA outside of scope that we paid for.
Right.
But otherwise, I think,
They have the right, but they don't,
Pretty clear.
but it wouldn't be in their best interest.
right, I think they got that very clear.
Right. So that's pretty much how they, and that's pretty standard for any contract, any professional service contract.
I think both firms that interviewed got that message very clear.
Yeah.
Maybe a footnote wouldn't be a bad idea.
Maybe adding a little footnote about that.
I
Think
mean, it's
about it.
already, I mean,
They can always
Like-
ask and we can always say no.
That's right.
Like before, we had the contract and they still came back and asked, so.
Yeah.
And it's a one-year agreement.
Yep.
So
Correct.
they come back
We have
next
3
year, and
years,
if they have
3
that,
years in
there's an
the
increase
RFP,
next
but
year.
each agreement is 1 year. Correct.
But I think part of the issue that we've had in the past has been the lack of discussion on some of the GASB issues that are coming in the future. Like you've already stated, you've met with them, this current firm.
Yeah,
They're telling you what's coming down the road. Our experience prior was we got hit with stuff we should have known about that we didn't know about.
So I just
And
want
it was,
to,
and it was very last minute, and it was by,
Right.
and it was by email.
Right, I
So-
just wanna
So there's
clarify-
there's a few factors.
I just want to clarify that just a little bit, just in case anybody's listening. GASB, we do get that. It's the SAS requirements,
Yeah.
which is the work that the auditing firm needs to do. The GASB requirements is the work we need to do. So it was the SAS
SAS,
requirements
okay.
on their end
Thanks for the
that they,
clarification.
just in
No,
case.
it's important.
Yep. So that was the part
Yeah.
that was not communicated to us until that very last second, the afternoon of our meeting, that they were
Yeah.
on the agenda, so.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to ask one more question.
Of course.
I'm sure the audit is just lovely, but
But does it put a lot more work on you and Linda to have to dig up some
There-
data or pull
There's a
some
lot
documents
of
from
work that needs to happen, not only with Linda and I, but with our staff. But it is something we do annually.
there? Yeah, it's
And
just part of it.
As I always say, in municipal finance, we have 2 seasons. We have auditing and budgeting. So one flows into the next, and that's pretty much all we worry about. We do an audit for 6 months, and then we budget for 6 months. It's just part of what we do. This year, might there be a little bit added pressure? Possibly, because we have a new firm, but it's nothing that we haven't come up with in the past. So it
Well,
should be fine.
You guys have always been cited for excellence in the past, so.
So I expect that again.
Exactly.
We expect nothing different. Darn it.
There's pressure there, too.
Okay. Anything else on auditor engagement? Otherwise, under correspondence, I kind of had a choice on where I wanted to bring this up, but I guess I'll do it under correspondence because it was correspondence directly to me. So this is from the Guilford Public Schools, and I'm just going to read it. It'll just make it easier. This was received by me on July 17th. Dear Mike, please be advised that the Board of Education will soon commence negotiations with the teachers' bargaining unit for a successor collective bargaining agreement. As you are aware, the Board of Education must meet and confer with the Board of Finance of the town regarding these negotiations within 30 days prior to their statutory commencement date. To comply with this statutory provision, I am suggesting that the chairs of the Board of Education and the Board of Finance meet on July 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. via Zoom. Actually, we met in person. That meeting did happen. So, as you are aware, a member of the Board of Finance is entitled to attend and observe these negotiations. If the negotiation parties proceed to arbitration, a representative of the Board of Finance shall be heard at the arbitration hearing regarding the financial capability of the school district. If you need any additional information on the negotiations process, please do not hesitate to contact me. This is from the superintendent. Ultimately, that notice has been given. We met, and I think in the past, I think a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, Veronica, you served, right, or you were the appointed person to attend and observe. Before that, Jeff, was it you?
No, it's never been me.
Never been you. Okay, I don't know who it was 3 years before
What am I
that.
saying?
Okay.
You're saying you're overdue?
No, but
Well, I thought you did, but, okay. So, the first meeting is August 12th. There's another meeting set on August 26th. All meetings after that will be set based on the attendees and the participants on August 12th. These are meetings that I don't know exactly what the quickest they would be to end, but they could, and they could go through the fall. So we do not need to decide tonight on who that representative is, and also because not everyone's here, I want to make sure there's a fair opportunity for everybody from the board to weigh in on this, and I will let Megan and Amy know, who are not present tonight. Please let me know by Friday if you are interested in serving. If not, then I will hand select somebody.
Will you
So
put
with
me
that,
on the list? I'm happy to serve again.
okay. And again, just let me know your interest, and then we'll make that
Yeah.
I'll make that determination. We do not have to vote on it, it just needs to be somebody who's appointed, and I can do that, so. Any further questions regarding that letter or any of the correspondence this evening before we move on? Okay, item number 4, review and accept the report of expenditures for the Board of Education for June 2025. Linda Trudeau, Jennifer Baldwin, good evening.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. You guys are going to get sick of me by the end of the summer. I'm also for next month, so.
We also like consistency, so it's
Well,
okay.
I do tend to volunteer for that big one. 'Cause-
Excellent.
Okay, so the expenditures for the month of June 2025 were $10,297,270.43. This represents 98.8% of the budget as compared to last year, which was we had spent 99.79%. Revenue for June 2025 was $215,856.38. This comprised of $179,434 of additional, additional funds of excess cost grant, $2,498 for Medicaid, $700 for pre-K tuition, $1,274.38 for non-resident tuition, and $21,450 for the magnet transportation grant, and finally $10,500 from tuition from Clinton. Salaries were in line with last year. Employee benefits is higher than prior year. Purchase services is lower. In terms of tuition, the percentage of the budget is lower, but this was due to the receipt of additional excess cost grant from the state of Connecticut.
Partially due, there was
Partially, right.
other reasons why it's lower.
Yeah, so that, it was applied to tuition, it was $140,191.78. Capital is lower than last year. There was a reimbursement, or is still coming, the capital
Still
lease
coming.
reimbursement of $113,442.49. Again, transportation is a bit lower, again, due to some excess cost grant in the amount of $39,242.22. So all told, the warrants that were being submitted, or are being submitted, total $2,479,860.55.
Great, thank you. Okay. Questions?
Can we talk a little bit about salary?
It looks like there's maybe a $500,000 surplus or so. Is that, am I reading that right?
Salary total?
Yeah, salaries total.
They haven't paid this summer, right?
No, that's in there.
Okay.
Yes, that is,
Yeah.
there is a little bit more.
Trying to figure out where it was coming from. It
There is
looked
a
like
little bit-
teachers and
There is a little bit more
paraprofessionals.
salary to be added in here because there's people, mainly people were timesheets. It's not much, it's under $30,000. But everything else has been included in here. So yeah, we were under in paraprofessionals. We were under in teachers. Part of the teachers one is we had some really good hiring. When a high-step teacher leaves and we bring in somebody lower, we get the savings from that.
Okay.
So we had a number of those in there. There were a couple of teachers on leave, so they're not in the salary line. A long-term sub is under, it could be under, is under substitute. So there's some offsets there, which is part of the reason why substitutes is over a little bit.
I thought maybe you couldn't find some to hire.
No, I don't think we had any major hiring issues.
Okay.
We've been very fortunate. Seems like they want to come to work in Guilford.
Yeah. I
So
would think
we have
so.
not had some of the staffing issues, at least for teachers, that some other districts have.
How about the paras? They seem to be under too. Was it because
So we had,
same thing? Some new
that one
hires,
we
or-
do have a lot of turnover and sometimes a tough time hiring some of those positions. So there is, I'm sorry?
Is it a hard job?
It's a tough job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's one of those that we do have a lot of turnover in.
Was there a similar, I know with aides, recess aides, lunch aides, there was an increase in salary to try and get retention. Was something similar done with the paraprofessionals or not yet?
No, because it's all contractual.
I see.
So we can't just increase that one when we want. Lunchroom and recess aides, we do also have, because it's a 3-hour-a-day position, it's not, so it's hard to fill. And part of that for lunchroom aides was the restructuring that we did to create the 4 school monitors that are in the elementary schools. So that offsets the overage in the safety monitors and crossing guards line. In the budget for 25-26, we straightened those allocations out, so it won't show like this, to cover those 4 new positions.
And I think you told us we were going to do pretty well with the tuition line.
Yes, and I apologize for not sending the tuition report.
It's okay.
I thought of it as I walked out the door. So the tuition report that, and I can send it to you tomorrow, right now has a projected surplus of $995,955. Now, keep in mind, some of that is going to offset the overage that is going to be in the contracted services, special services line.
Electricity?
No, that's the, for the services for the students that we bring into house, in-house.
Oh, right,
So
I follow you.
as we bring some of those students
Yeah.
in-house, there's some services that we need to provide, and we have to contract for it. Plus, we had a teacher, a OT or PT person out for a long term, and we had to contract to replace that person. We didn't hire a replacement OT person. So that was under contracted services. So contracted services is projected to be about $350,000 over budget,
Okay,
and so that's offset by the savings in the tuition line.
but still, the in-house is more efficient
Yes,
than out, okay.
yes.
The surprise for me was transportation, but maybe I read that wrong. Was transportation also a surplus? And, I was looking at the documents for the meeting.
So the transportation, there's one more bill that's not in here for regular transportation
okay.
because it's billed through June, so we get it in July.
All right.
So it's not reflected in this report yet. You'll see it next month.
Okay,
There was one last fuel delivery that is not in this report.
all right.
It was using up the last of our contracted gallons. So that's going to be over just slightly.
Okay,
And then special transportation, again, June bills, we don't receive till July, so there's going to be a little bit more.
I
That's
thought that
going
was
to
a
be,
little too good to be
that's
true.
going to be borderline break even, maybe slightly over budget.
That's usually
But
how it goes,
yeah,
right?
but it's much better than in previous years where we've had some big overages especially in the special transportation.
Okay.
That additional excess cost also helped too, because it brought that more in line to what we were anticipating receiving for excess cost than
I'm
what they
not sure
originally
if I've
told
been
us.
through every inch of everything for this meeting, but do you sort of have a forecast for a surplus, or you got to kind of wait till August?
So I have one now, but, so we are right now projecting around 130,000. But the Board of Ed at their meeting last week did approve the policy to initiate a non-lapsing account. So the board has to vote on the amount that would go into that under the
Yep.
new legislation.
Yep,
The Board of Ed
follow.
just has control over that. But it would be an account set up through Mary Jane. We would, my plan right now is to put a line at the bottom of our report every month that shows that balance. We obviously would notify you and tell you when we plan on using it and for what purposes. And the request would have to go through Mary Jane to actually make the transfer as well. So we're trying to make it as transparent as possible. But right now, we are about 130,000 is our projection.
So the source of the funds that can only come from a surplus, and then the guardrails and how it's spent are,
It has to be for educational purposes only or like a one-time capital. So if there is a pipe burst and there's flooding, we could use it for that. If there's a major roof issue, we could, something, we could do it for that. It has to be a one-time, non-budgeted,
And non-recurring. which is the one-time.
non-recurring expense, and it could be either for capital or an educational purpose. So it can't be, that we're going to go buy office furniture, or we're going to go buy, a new vehicle for facilities, because that's not educational and it's not capital. Not capital in the sense of building capital.
When you say educational, hypothetically, let's say, I'm just going to pick the textbook line goes over, or, there's a need. So that would textbook be considered educational? What would be considered educational?
It would be
Just to
considered
clarify.
educational. So if you remember me talking about the state mandate for ELA, that unbudgeted about $250,000 of required textbook material that we had to purchase under the state mandate, the state gave us $90,000 to it.
Okay.
That could be an educational purpose unbudgeted.
Okay.
If tuition suddenly goes over, and it was unanticipated, unbudgeted, one-time thing, because the following year we can plan for it and budget appropriately. It could be used to offset tuition. It could be used for, I'm trying to think if we had another example that we were
Can it be
using.
used for electricity?
No, because it's not educational.
Okay, just wanted to,
Cannot, it's
You know
not
where I'm going.
educational.
I'm
Yes,
just
no.
trying to-
You may have to use it for electricity.
Nope, we cannot, we cannot, we cannot.
I'm just,
No,
Right.
I'm just kidding.
it's not capital and
It's
it's
gotta
not,
be,
yeah.
it's
Right.
got to be educational.
no, that's good, and
I
that's,
mean,
that's the
And
intended
electricity is
use.
probably
It's always been the
reoccurring.
intended use, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are things that we,
I just didn't realize it was one time, it makes sense, one-time capital.
Right, because you
then
don't wanna
you don't
use
want to
it-
have like 5 different, you're pulling,
Right.
different
Well,
projects.
You
You
can't
can't,
replace,
No, you
your,
can't.
your, budget line.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, you can't keep pulling out of it unless,
Right.
yeah.
it can't.
Educational is fine if you do it, but not for capital.
if we're getting into
you
the
can't
weeds a
You
little.
can't supplant, you can't use it to, you can use it to supplement, but you can't use it to supplant, I think is the term that they were using.
I have every faith that the Board of Education will know exactly how to use it, so I'm not too concerned. I just was curious for more of the public, just, you hear this and it's like, oh, well, can they use it for? Okay,
Right,
now we know.
And, yeah, so it's, and it's just one of those things that, like, when we go to do the budget, if we have 100,000, 130,000 in this account, you can't use it to offset the budget, because that's not the intent of what these funds are for.
Is there, and again, for public knowledge, is it limited in terms of time to use? Is it a line item that the next year comes up and you didn't use it, you
That's my
you
question.
didn't need to use it, so you can
It's-
take another
Can you
130
squirrel
and
it
put
away?
it in?
and save
So
it?
there is a cap.
There is a cap.
There is a cap of 2% of your
2%? Yeah.
operating budget, so it can never grow more than 2% of our current operating budget. And it's non-lapsing, so it will just stay in there. So if we don't need it for the 25-26 year,
Got it.
it can stay in there.
Up to 2%, and
Up to 2%
anything
in it.
additional
Which you don't
then
see.
goes to
Right.
the surplus of the town, right?
Well, right.
Or
If so-
to the-
if we- if
to
we
the
get-
unspent,
If we get to
unassigned
that
fund.
point, which I don't ever see us getting to 2% of our
I'm
operating
setting up,
budget.
I'm setting up hypotheticals.
Well, and you may have just asked this in a different way, but the source of the funds, again, are the net surplus for the year. It's not a line item here, or a line item there.
Right.
Right,
Yeah, okay,
right.
yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Great. No, that's great. That's-
And we're talking $100,000, you guys know, it's such a minuscule amount of the budget, it's to Linda's credit. that-
Precision, perfect budgeting, just
45
about,
minutes.
Yep.
Great.
can't complain. Just
Anything-
right on budget, a little bit of extra.
Where do we, on the encumbrances on safety, sanitation and site improvements? Those are, I assume they're still being worked out? and
Yes, they're still
whittled
being
down.
worked out. We closed in July about $80,000 of purchase orders, then we just did a few more, not just facilities, but overall, about another 30,000, so it's coming down. We have a bunch of bills that we just got in that are going against these purchase orders that we'll pay before the end of this month. So I'm trying to get it down as low as I can, because I don't like carrying them over.
Got it. Okay. Anything else on the financial reports? Anything on? Sorry, I'm pausing because I'm still trying to learn onboard. Get my way around here. Anything on warrants? This is a question that comes up every once in a while, and I think it's good just to know the process. On page 8 of, there's only one warrant, right, for Board of Ed? Page 8, the high school student activity account. And so this is the process of that as an expenditure.
So there are expenses that are paid directly out of the student activity fund,
Right.
like the officials for the games, because they are paid at the games that night. The people who do the security and the ticket booths, they're paid. There's also some other expenses that are paid out of the student activity fund. But there's part of those expenses are budgeted in the Board of Ed budget. So at the end of the year, we reconcile the books. There's always more spent out of the student activity fund than what the Board of Ed is budgeted. We get a request from Jake Jarvis, the athletic director, to reimburse the student activity fund for the portion that is in the Board of Ed budget.
Is that amount every year, is it pre-spent or is it a drawdown? I don't know if that makes sense. Like, is it put towards the account and then it's drawn down to pay all
No,
this? Or is it amount that's
it's-
expended and now you pay it back to make
I'm
it
paying
zero?
back. Yes.
So it's prepaid to get it to zero and then it starts over
Yeah,
again?
it's always done at the end of the year.
Yep,
And they
yep.
always show me that they've spent more than what they're asking for. So we're
Right.
not giving them more than what they've already.
Right, so they've got it all recorded and whatever
So
they need, receipts and things like
Part
that.
of,
to go.
part of the gate receipts covers
Yep.
the rest of the expenses, and then we cover a portion of it.
Veronica?
I have two questions. One question is the school physician. Is that the physician that advises the board? Or,
He has done some advising to the board. He advises Dr. Freeman. He works with the school nurses.
school
It's in-
nurses,
It's the
okay.
annual fee. He will come in and do some exams, but he advises the nurses. And we just raised his fee the last 2 years, and it had been $12,000 for years. It's now 14, and that's an annual fee.
yeah. My second question is, can you talk about on page 13, the para subsidy return?
So the
You don't like this one?
state gave us money to help.
Who's they?
The state.
Oh, state-
The state of
state.
Connecticut gave us money to help subsidize the cost of the insurance for paraeducators. So we had to tell them how many paras we had, what insurance they had, single, two-person family, the high deductible plan or a PPO plan. And then the state allocated money to us to give to them and told us how much each person should get. We paid that, and then the state came back and said, okay, how much did you actually pay and how much do you have left over? And we said, we have $29,000 left over, and they said, good, send it back to us. So the state took back the balance of the subsidy that we did not allocate, or we did not use, because they gave us more than we had actually asked for. They gave us
Did they tell you
seven.
up front they were going to do that?
No, they gave us $78,000 and said, here's how you allocate it out. Each pair, if you're a single person, you give them this. If it's two-person, you give them this. If it's a family, you give them this. And so we did that, and we knew that we didn't pay out as much as they had given us. But in the beginning of June, they said, we need to know how much you paid out. And we know we gave you $78,000. And so when we told them, they said, okay, here's the address, write us a check.
Yeah.
Even though you told them the circumstances going into this, and they made the amount $78,000
We don't know, we
based on-
never, when they sent us the money, we never could figure out how they determined
Oh,
the
how they-
amount.
how they arrived at
determined, because it did not make sense based on the number of people we had and the types of plans we had and the allocation that they were giving us.
And they didn't really ask for this up front? Evidently not.
No, so fine, we gave it back to them.
Okay.
Can I ask a warrant question quick? Maybe I'll stump you. I made it to the end, just kind of skimming through them, and I saw Yale University School of Medicine got almost a $10,000 payment for continuation of services, and it says from October to May 2025.
Contracted services.
Yeah, contracted service.
Oh, contracted.
Yeah,
Sorry, just
yeah.
abbreviated there.
Yeah.
But I was wondering a little bit what that was. I thought I'd see that, in a medical payment or
So
something.
it's
but-
not, so it's actually part of the Cedarhurst School that gets billed through Yale School of Medicine. And the contracted services is probably something like an OT, PT, speech services that was provided to a student that goes to Cedarhurst.
Okay. But it is for some kind of special outplacement care. Okay.
Yes.
Didn't see that one coming.
Well, as to look down 2 lines, there's another $40,000 of the same thing.
Where? Oh, on
Yeah, for
another
the
page?
tuition, yeah. There's 2 more.
Wow. Almost 50.
Yeah, so there's 5 students that attend Cedarhurst School.
Okay.
And that was the May tuition.
Anything further for the Board of Education, minutes? nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. I will see you next month.
I will, yeah, right. I will entertain a motion to accept the fiscal year 2024-2025 expenditures of the Board of Education for June 2025 in the amount of $10,297,270.43.
So, second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, abstentions, recusals? Excellent, thank you. Okay. Item number 5, review and approve the report of expenditures for town government for June 2025. Mary Jane, good evening.
Good evening. So this evening, what I have for you is preliminary numbers for June. We are still accepting bills through the first week of August. So when I report to you in August, we'll hopefully have a more final picture, unaudited, but yet final picture of where we are at the end of June. So I do have that, and as far as the warrants, we have the warrants for June and a warrant for 2025 and a warrant for 2026. So
Right.
I'm sure you're on it, Mike, but I just, have to say that.
I remember not being on it one year, so thank you.
Sometimes I'm not on it either, so we're all good. So I'd like to start with revenues. We are obviously 100% through our fiscal year. We are 100% received for all of our revenues. I'm showing $88,000 surplus in revenue so far. If you remember, I have been noting that our revenues are going to come out pretty close, mainly because of the state grant that we had budgeted and then did not receive. So you see that down at the very bottom, the $396,000. That is that. There's only one line item that I really wanted to bring your attention to, and that's tax collection. Typically, our tax collection is 100% or more at this time, because that line item is not just our tax collection for the current year. It's made up of a number of line items that's shown in the detail. But what I wanted to specifically speak to, if you look at the detail, we have refunds of over $400,000 during the year. And that's much higher than we typically have. And the reason for that is we have had a few court-stipulated agreements because of reval. And in February, for instance, we had 2 that were over $150,000 between the 2 of them. So we are catching up or catching down from reval. So that number is a little bit higher than we normally have, but because of reval, it's high, which is causing us to have a shift in where our overall tax collection is this year.
What's the normal number? What would you typically see in that? I mean, that's high, but what would you have expected?
Probably closer to 250-ish.
Okay. I'm just curious.
Yeah, we always have refunds.
Oh,
There's
right.
always refunds.
Right.
But we are seeing the court stipulated refunds this particular. We've had a couple since reval. This year, a couple of them just happened to hit, a couple of high ones this year, that's all. So that's really what I wanted to mention more than anything else, unless anyone has any specific question on revenues.
I have a question on the finance stuff.
The finance director, she's just not doing her job.
No. I was curious, I forget where all this income comes from, but I thought a big chunk was when you invest the tax revenue until we need it.
Correct.
I forget the instruments we use. There's kind of some guidelines, and there's only certain ones we can use.
Right, we statute does, give us specific guidelines on how we can invest. The last couple of years, we had an influx of money through just our revenue. We had, large surpluses in revenue the last couple of years, so we had additional funding for that. I have money, we have money in STIF, the Connecticut Short-Term Investment Fund. I have funding in a fund we call FICA. The rules only allow us to put $250,000 in each instrument, in each bank. So we have a company that we use called FICA, who takes our money and divvies it out, the best that, wherever they can, that $250,000 out here and there to get the best return. As a matter of fact, that particular, we have $5 million. In the month of June, I did withdraw that $5 million. Our tax bills did not go out as early as they normally do. We didn't have an influx of money coming in early as we normally do. So I did withdraw that money so that we would be liquid. I haven't put that money back, although we are ready to do that. So unfortunately, my investments in June went down because of that. And the other thing I have is through Morgan Stanley, I do have $10 million that they invest in money markets and a lot of different types of things, more similar to our pension account. And I leave that money in there and actually roll that interest over each year, so that it can grow.
My question was, how are the rates there, and is there?
The rates are very good. As a matter of fact, stiff rates have remained high. I actually can't find a CD or another instrument such as that, that beats the stiff rates. They're very good. We do use stiff as our liquid investments. So as the money comes in through tax collection, we immediately put it into stiff and we draw down on that as we need it. In August, so we were already preparing for August 1st, so when our largest debt payments go out, so we have to be sure we have enough money to cover that. That's our biggest expense throughout the year, and it unfortunately comes at the very beginning of the year. But so we have, I look for different instruments to put our money in. I have a lot of contacts through GFOA, so we do what we can. That's why our investments have continued to grow and almost met budget this year.
Okay.
But I went like 4 or 5 times over last year, so I thought that maybe I get a little dispensation.
Okay, kudos to that. Okay, understood.
Any other questions on revenue?
Anything? Okay.
Oh, kind of one more, but
Okay.
we could wait till revenue. I was wondering if the golf course overcame their revenue, because I haven't looked yet. Overcame their expenses with revenue.
They fell $1,600, $1,700 short.
That's pretty
And that's
close.
after 15 rainy Saturdays. That's astounding.
So we'll start with the golf course on the expenditures. So on the expenditure side, we are at 100% expended. Actually, before I get to the golf course, I'll note that we have almost $1 million in outstanding encumbrances, which obviously we will be working to close much of that out as we move forward. You'll see that on the Board of Ed, I do have money left in the account, but it doesn't sound like I'm going to have anything left in there at the end of the year after we open this new account, so we'll have to take that into consideration. But some of the line items that are over, I know I've talked about them before, but I like to repeat myself. So all the ones that are over, information systems is over $2,600. It's a payroll-related item. We had someone get a bump up mid-year. We have money in reserve for personnel for that, which we'll be transferring at the end of the year. The next item is golf. The golf course, even where their revenue is still overdrawn, the Board of Selectmen has asked the commission and the director of the golf course to come to their next meeting to talk about some of the items that have been spent in their budget and just to get a sense.
Does it include the work they did on that one tee, I think?
Yes, that's part of the discussion, yes. Yeah, so just, to have a conversation with them, similar to the fire department, which is the next item, which I do have the new chief of the fire department coming to your meeting next month. In case you have any questions, I can tell you that we have a lot of new ideas moving forward on how to manage that budget, and I am hopeful that we will be able to make some improvements in that area. But the chief will be here at your next meeting, so if you have any specific questions as to how they're managing their budget, we can speak to them. They are $637,000 over on expenditures, and on the revenue side, they are $462,000 over. So that overall, they still have, about a $200,000+ overage. But like I said, they will be here next month. The next item is communications. Again, that's managed by the fire chief. He will be here to talk about that. It's mainly related to the way we pay out vacation pay for the dispatchers, and also some large expenditures for our telephones that have caused that. The next is Public Works. They're only over $13,000. You'll see they have $209,000 of purchase orders, which obviously we will not allow them to go over. On top of that, we have work orders that have been work done by the Public Works Department that we will charge other departments. The revenue comes back to Public Works for certain items. So that line item will not be overdrawn by the time I come back with final transfers. The next is employee benefits. We've had 2 retirees in this year with significant retiree sick leave, which makes up the majority of that overage in employee benefits. But we do have money in committed funds for all of that, to cover that. So although it's showing over right now, when we do our transfers, we'll have funding to move over for that. And the last is capital, as I've mentioned before. This is where we expend out a lot of the committed funds, things that we've set aside for building projects, that we flow through our capital line items so that we can keep them transparent. They're there in our budget, and then we know which ones we need to transfer. So again, those are transfers that will be coming over. Overall, as I've said in the past, I do not expect a large surplus. I'm hoping it'll be in the $1 million range, which will at least keep our undesignated, unassigned fund balance at the percentage that your policy has us at. But we do have a couple more weeks of payments to go out. So I don't know if you have any specific questions on expenditures or any other department that you'd like to speak to that I can.
Do you happen to know what the percentage is for the,
What is it, unreserved account?
We're at 11.
They always call the rainy day account.
I want to say 11.6 or 7 or something as of last year. So somewhere around there. Somewhere around
11 and change.
Somewhere between 11 and 12.
Questions on expenditures? Report. Otherwise, we could jump right over to warrants. Just to be, I just realized that the 26 warrants come before the 24-25 in order. So I'm just saying, if you have questions on the warrants, let's keep them to 24-25, and then we'll do 25-26 separate.
That's fine. It's just how they get put on the agenda, that's all.
I just want to make, it was a clarification more than anything.
Yep.
There's no other state revenue that we might get to help our budget before we close out the books, or is that?
None that I'm aware of, Jonathan, but I will cash in a check they want to send me. Unfortunately, I'm not aware of any additional funding.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm on the right warrant based on my own direction. I think it's page 22. I'm gonna hope it is. Otherwise, I'm scrolling forever. Health Department. There were a number of invoices for breeding site inspection larvicide treatment. Page 22, under Health Department. I guess my comment was, or, where was that done?
Specifically where, well,
Just because there were a number of invoices.
yeah, specifically where, I'm not sure.
Was
I
it
have to get
multiple
back to you.
treatments at one place, or was it spread out
Well,
amongst?
yeah, because
around the town?
it's our mosquito control, so
Right.
it's a matter of where they've done. I could certainly have the health director provide a list of where they've done mosquito control.
Just curious, if it was a one location or several locations? It doesn't need to be which locations.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
I
Yeah.
didn't want to know that, just.
All the way back on page 5, I made a note, I forgot to ask. Wasabi Technologies, reserved capacity storage. Do you know if that's a monthly or an annual or a semi-annual charge, $2,145?
So I think that's an annual charge.
Backup, it would, I should think it would.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, I know WASOP, that's in our IT budget, and I can
Yeah.
picture the line item in the
Yeah.
detail. I'm pretty sure that sounds like the
Is that
amount.
storage backup? Okay.
Yeah.
Cloud.
Remember that?
And-
Cloud.
Yeah, we'll be doing a lot more that as you've probably heard us in the capital meetings, moving to Microsoft 365. So it's on the horizon moving forward as well, so, wow. You know.
Not 21st.
Well, I know, but we're government, we're always behind.
Don't want to rush into these things.
You can see if it works first.
We'll see. Mm-hmm.
Test it.
Okay. Anything further on the warrants? Anything on, we kind of mixed them up already, which is fine. 25, 26, anything on those? I did have one on page 1. The Tyler Technologies, I think there were a couple that were on this particular warrant report. Is that one for 25, 26, is that a annual at the bottom?
That is part of the annual, that's what we've charged the Board of Education, their portion.
Okay.
That's why it's showing as accounts receivable Board of,
Got it.
it's the account
Balance-
number we
balance
use.
sheet
Yes,
accounts.
yes, yep. So that's the portion that the Board of Ed pays.
Okay. Actually, I circled next page, is it VOCI?
VOG?
VOCI. The auto renewal, again, is that an annual service contract amount?
That's an annual service, yeah. We
Okay.
use VOG for a number of things. We do all our personnel action forms through there. The fire, I'm not sure about police, but Public Works manage their fleet through there. So if you're on the side of the road and all of a sudden you get a flat tire, you go through VOG, it goes to, we use that as a management tool for those types of things.
Yeah, I remember what it was.
Yeah, and
I wasn't sure whether it was an
and it's
annual,
available
quarterly.
to, and it's that much money because everyone has access to it. So, so if anyone on our staff, any staff member wants to put in for a vacation day, they go in through VOG to request that. So it's not just department heads, it's everyone has access to VOG. So it goes, my staff puts in a vacation day, it comes to me for approval, and it goes through the system, so.
You'll be hearing from me.
Well, we'll have to just not approve it, but we'll hear from you.
Anything further on warrants? And that goes for weekly or special fund? Before we get to the dreaded.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Medical.
So, so I apologize to Linda and the Board of Selectmen, I apologize to you as well. I keep changing how this report looks, but I'm trying to make it transparent and easy to understand. And so what I've done, I I've pulled out those, if you remember last time, I went back and I fixed all the months because of the stop-loss reimbursements. But it wasn't helping me manage the stop-loss reimbursements. So I've pulled them all out, and I have them as a separate line item. You see that down at the very bottom of the claims. So it can show you that we were charged the claims up top, but overall, we've received 2.25 million back from the stop-loss company. And if you look to the very bottom, I still have almost $1 million receivable, because we're always a month or two behind because of the process. First, the bills are processed through Anthem, so, the doctor's office sends it to Anthem, they have to process it, it goes through, then it comes to us, then we determine, oh, that's stop loss, now it's got to go to the stop loss company. Sharon at the Board of Ed, at HR, and Mitch on our end, they have to issue invoices to the stop loss company to get the reimbursement. So it's a little timely.
You gotta file your
Yeah, when it was Anthem, it was seamless, right? It just happened through Anthem. We didn't even see that going on in the back, but the way it's handled now, I'm seeing it. So I want to make sure I'm tracking it better. So we're always going to be behind. So I have this receivable down here for that. The other thing I've pulled out is the IAFF premiums. Those are the firefighters that we've moved from the medical fund into their own policy. However, for FY25, the expense was still budgeted in the medical fund, and we made that very clear. As we were addressing this issue, that the town's portion of what we put in our medical fund included that IAFF.
You just allocated it separately.
It was allocated separately. So for 2026, we've now taken that out. So if you actually look at our budget, it doesn't, on the town side, it doesn't look like my medical budget went quite up as much as the Board of Ed, but that's because I've also pulled out all of the firefighters. So now, although we still budget for it in employee benefits, it's not in the medical fund itself. It's separate in the way we do the Teamsters. Teamsters have their own policy. It's in the budget for employees' benefits, but not in the medical fund. So I pulled that out here so that when we compare next year, which doesn't have these numbers, to this year, it'll be more apples to apples, or at least kind of. So I've pulled that out so that we can see that. Other than that, you can see that our catastrophic claims are at 177%. So we, as bad as our medical fund is this year, we've made out pretty good on the stop loss, unfortunately for our employees. But what that number tells me is that we're going to be hit with an increase for stop loss. Not in this coming year, but we will definitely see something, that's not going to fly for long. Overall, when you look at the bottom, on a cash basis, we only have $782,000 in this account. But I am expecting that receivable of $917, which I am going to book for June 30, because it is a 2025 receivable, which puts us at 1.7 or almost 1.5 months. To be honest, I'm happy with that number, because I wasn't sure we were going to have
something out right there, though?
Yep.
I think, there's kind of like the famous memo, and I think ideally, you'd like 3, or
3.
was it 2?
3.
Okay. Because sometimes I've wanted to return money to taxpayers. This time, we might have to ask to bring it up to 3 months.
Right, well, I'm hoping through budgeting that we can maybe bring that up, but I will say I am thankful for you listening to me and having that 3 months. It's exactly what it is. I said to the selectmen this morning, you don't know when your roof is falling in, but you need to have the money. Our roof fell in this past year, and thank goodness we had that those funds. We have lots of options. We don't necessarily have to go back to the taxpayers. We have other committed funds that we might, redirect where the money is. Through our budgeting this year, maybe it'll be better now that we've taken into account what we think our claims are. I'm not panicking yet. It's a conversation I had with the rating agencies. I'm not panicking over this. Guilford's resilient. We are not in a negative, we're not in a hole here. And I'm hopeful that we can overcome last year. Like I said, I'm happy to have a $1.7 million fund balance at the end of the year because I wasn't expecting anything.
At the end of the day, the fund balance did what it was supposed to do.
Exactly, the fund balance did what it was supposed to do. And we just have to make sure that we work to establish that fund balance
Do you happen to
again.
hear if this is a trend in other towns?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of towns got hit last year. I know Mitch reported to the Board of Selectmen, he had spoken to a lot of towns. Some got hit last year, 24. We got like 4 fiscal years we're working on. So in fiscal 24, some towns were hit and others were hit in 25 like us. It is a trend, it is not just Guilford.
So it's unknowable, I know, but is there discussion that this is a long-term trend? That we should be looking at this, expecting this going forward?
Well, I don't necessarily expect it to go down. That doesn't always happen. I personally, and I don't know, but, you know, the cost of healthcare it increases as much as we have more people, right? So, you know, we have to balance that somehow. We do our budget based on past history. The best we can, you know, 18 months. We hate to go back any further because now we're looking at lesser numbers. So we try to stay within that 18-month look back. We do the best we can, you know, with what we have, but...
That's us, but we have advisors. What are they?
Correct.
What are they pointing at?
The trend's gonna, yeah, it's certainly not, we're trending up for 2026.
Yep.
Where it goes from there, we don't know.
Yeah. I know, it's unknowable, I know.
Correct, yeah.
Just wonder if there's an industry standard or chat or
Yeah.
whatever. Okay.
But, so I hope the changes I've made to this little form might, you know, help you a little bit understand what we have in here. But like I said, I'm thankful for the money that we had in there to cover it. Back in 2013, we were in a deficit situation, and we're not there today. That's my positive spin on the medical fund.
Well done.
Yeah, I was going to say, way to end that on a
Turn that
positive
right
note.
around.
There you go.
I wasn't sure how that was going to go, but
still breathing.
it makes sense.
I'm always glass half full. You should know me by now. But when it's empty, I let you know that too.
But to your point, the budget that we adopted for the upcoming fiscal year took into account the
Correct.
substantial increase that we had. So
Yes.
it's not just, I think there's a reason why you're cautiously optimistic, is that we've budgeted for these increases with the hope that we don't really get the results that we've had
Right.
this year.
I don't expect in the first couple of months to bring that back up to 3
No, it's
months.
not gonna happen overnight.
But if we can cover our expenses this coming year, then that's going to be a plus for us. Because with what we knew, we couldn't come in and say, this is what we need, oh, and we need this much more just to, you know, we couldn't ask for more. We actually used some of the fund balance, if you remember. Only $750,000, but that's half of what I got, you know, half of what I have, you know, to cover that increase, because we didn't want to tax the people more than we wanted to. You know, I mean, we did the best we can with our budgets, and I'm, like I said, hopeful.
But also to your point, I mean, just the cost, just aside from the catastrophic claims, just the costs of any testing
Right.
are going up
Correct.
substantially. So it's not, I mean, obviously the numbers 43 over 75,000 and 18 over, you know, over the 150. It's a big number, but it's not just those folks who are contributing to the increase in
You know,
cost.
colonoscopy today is not the same price as it was 3 years ago or 5 years ago. You know, there's increase in cost on top of more employees hitting that catastrophic claim number.
Right.
Okay. I think that's good for medical. Anything on the capital funds, Board of Ed or town?
I do. So I've presented these today, even though they're not final, because obviously we have another month. But I wanted to use them to illustrate our bonding for this year. So we are going out to bond for $7 million. This year we typically do $5 million. So if you look at the very last line of both of them, I'm going to show you where we got that $7 million from. So the very bottom on the far right is the fund balance of each individual fund. So if we look at the towns, the town is a deficit of $6 million. What that would represent is that we've spent $6 million that we need to reimburse ourselves through bonding. However, that $6 million includes all of the purchase orders that are currently out there that we have not actually spent. So if you look at 3 and 4 columns over to the left, I've got 1.3 million in current year encumbered and 5 million in prior year encumbered, which is mostly the communication system that we've budgeted. So if I take that 6 million and I add back in those purchase orders, I'm actually no longer in a deficit. So what that tells me is at the end of the year, the town side does not necessarily need refill from bonding, although I do have a small amount of bonding coming in for the town. And I illustrate this because if you go to our audit, it's going to show the $6 million deficit, but I want you to know that includes all of these encumbrances. So when you're looking at that. So if I go to the town side, I have a $9 million deficit.
I mean, the Board of Ed.
I'm in the Board of Ed, sorry,
Gotcha.
Board of Ed side. I got a $9 million deficit, and I have encumbrances, not as much, just over $1 million. And if I add those back, I get $7.9 million. That's where my $7 million has come for bonding this year. So we typically do 5 each year. Last year, the 5 didn't cover my costs on the school side, so I'm making up for that on this year through bonding. But I just wanted to illustrate how we come up with that number and why we're doing $7 million this year, and we're, July 30th is our bond sale, so we'll know what those numbers
Can
are
I
then.
make sure I got my head around
Yep.
this? Are you saying that we won't have to pay those encumbrances?
Oh, we will at some point, but it's not money out the door yet. When I bond, I'm replacing money out the door.
Okay, I got you.
So because we have a purchase order out, the money's not out the door yet.
I got you.
So I don't want to.
Until those encumbrances come due.
I don't want to bond for money that I haven't spent
Save
yet,
us
because then I have
trouble.
money sitting, we're paying interest on money that,
Yeah.
and Guilford is fortunate. Other towns, especially small towns, if a small town needed to buy a $3 million fire truck, they'd have to bond for it immediately, just to have the money to cover the costs as they come up.
Yeah.
We are able to, pay for them up front and then reimburse ourselves with the bonding. But I just wanted to illustrate that. Is that helpful?
Thank you.
Hopefully that is
That
helpful.
stiff rate is not bigger than our bond rate, is it? Maybe we shouldn't pay for things like that.
No.
All right.
Okay. Anything further for Mary Jane Town Government? Okay. So, I gotta see if I get this right. Go to my annotations, find my motions. Okay, so there's gonna be 2 motions tonight. The first one is gonna be, I'll entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year 2024-2025 expenditures of the town for June 2025 in the amount of $3,427,666.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, abstentions, recusals? Okay. Second motion. Now, these are for the warrants for this fiscal year, so I'll entertain a motion to approve the warrant report of the town dated July 17th, 2025 for fiscal year 2025-26 in the amount of $448,062.73.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed, abstentions, recusals? Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jane.
Oh, thank you, Mary Jane.
Item number 6, committee reports. I don't think we have any committees right now, so. Item number 7, old business. Item number 8, new business. I have 2 items under new business. One of them is coming out a little bit of left field. This is more for the public, and I mean that kind of almost literally left field. I thought we put a little positive spin on some of what's happening in our town, and I had the absolute pleasure yesterday of attending the Guilford Girls Little League softball. They, just for those that don't know, it's going to be pretty well public soon. There was a send-off on Friday. I know our first selectman was there to send them off. I have a family friend whose daughter is playing on the team, so I went. In their first game yesterday in the New England Regionals, they won, beating New Hampshire by a large amount. And I just got word that they won their second game this evening against Massachusetts, and they are moving very quickly, nicely through the winning bracket. It's a double elimination. I wanted to bring that up because I just thought it was a good, just a good story.
These are televised on ESPN. I watched two.
ESPN Plus, yeah.
They mercied them in the 4th inning.
Yeah. I just got the text, so you knew a little bit before I did, but.
I got to watch it. It was fabulous.
And I'll say, that's the Guilford Girls Little League softball, but also I know the boys did very well also this year, which was nice to hear that the Little League is doing as well as they are. Of course, I have a little fondness. I don't know how many played Little League, but I played Little League in my day. So it was really nice to hear Guilford is doing incredibly well. So congratulations to all the kids and the coaches and everybody who's involved.
Such talent, great culture.
Yeah, very proud. I know she doesn't want me to, but I do understand that this evening will be the last meeting for our secretary, Tracy Brinkman. She is not going far, as she kind of alluded to before. She's heading over to the Board of Education as communications. For as long as I've been on this board, I do not believe there's been another secretary since 2007, since I've been on. So this is a little bit, a little bittersweet. I know you're not going far, but having you seated there has always been a big boost of confidence for all of us, that we know that the minutes are going to be really good and accurate. And I know that your successor will do probably a fine job as well, but we're going to miss you. And we really appreciate everything that you've done. Congratulate you to be with the Board of Education and the new role you're going to have there. So thank you for everything, and we look forward to all the Board of Education communications and the voice of now. So.
Here, well said.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah. With that, public forum, item number 9. Seeing and hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I heard a second in there. So I think we're going to call the question. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? I didn't think so. Thank you.